Hi, I'm Jenny, editor of Crochet Now magazine, and I'm here to show you how to do a popcorn stitch and a cluster stitch, which are two stitches which we use in part 4 of the Crochet Along, designed by Lucia Dunn using Stylecraft yarns. So you can see here I've already started with round 1 of the mandala square. At the end of round 1 you should see 6 distinct clusters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with of course 6 chain spaces in between. So we're going to start with our beginning cluster stitch. So join B, remembering we're holding the yarn double, into the gap between the two. For the beginning cluster stitch we chain 2, like so, yarn round into the same gap, hook, yarn round and pull up, as if you were doing a treble stitch, yarn round and pull through 2. And you just need to repeat that instruction once more. And what you should end up with looks like 3 trebles stitches with 3 loops on your hook, and all you're going to do is yarn round and pull through there, all 3 loops, and that's our beginning cluster. That's just how we start the round to get the right height, to just get the next round started. So from there the instructions tell us to 2 chain, 1, 2, and then do 1 cluster stitch into the same gap. So I'm just going to pull my stitches over so I've got plenty of space. You can see as I'm going, I'm crocheting over my tail ends to save on weaving in later. So from here the cluster stitch is pretty much exactly the same without the 2 chain to get that height. So we have 2 chain to create a gap, and now we're going to do the cluster stitch, which is yarn round into that gap, yarn round, pull up, again as if it was a treble, yarn round, pull through 2, repeat that twice more, so 3 times in total. And you should finish with 4 loops on your hook there, but it still looks like 3 trebles, yarn round and pull through all 4. And all you're going to do there now is moving around the pattern, 2 chain, 1 cluster, 2 chain, 1 cluster into the same gap, each all the way around, so you'll end up with 12 cluster stitches. Once you've gone all the way around, doing your 2 clusters into each chain space, you're just going to do 2 chain and join with a slip stitch into the top of the beginning cluster stitch, and then fasten off and cut the yarn like so. And this is what your work should look like after round 2. So you can see I have 12 cluster stitches going around 6 groups of 2. So that's the cluster stitch. So now we're going to do our popcorn stitches. So join the yarn, remember to hold it double, into any 2 chain space around. Remember, work over those ends as we go, less weaving at the end. So the beginning popcorn stitch, again, just to get the height to start the round off, we're going to do 3 chain, which counts as a treble here. Now the beginning popcorn stitch says to do 4 treble in the next stitch, but the instructions have told us to do it in the beginning chain space. So we're just going to work 4 trebles in the same space like so. 3, 4. Now remembering the first 3 chain counts as a stitch, so you should have the equivalent of 5 stitches in there. And then remove the hook from your loop, insert it at the top of the beginning 3 chain from front to back like so, then go through the loop that you just left, so you should have 2 loops on your hook, yarn round and pull through, which just bunches the stitch together and makes that popcorn stitch. And then 2 chain, and then the popcorn stitch is very much exactly the same as the beginning, except instead of the 3 chain you work a treble, so we're going to work 5 trebles this time instead of 4. Like so. remove your hook from the loop. Now insert your hook into the top of the first treble stitch, back into the loop we've left, yarn round, pull through, and there you see we have a popcorn stitch.